Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana has announced that his department has set aside 31.2 million rand for the Economic Policy, Tax, Financial Regulation and Research Program to help get South Africans off the grey list. He's also allocated more money to the South African Revenue Service while unveiling his budget in Parliament. Xolani Mbanjwa filed this report.
South Africa's grey listing by the Financial Action Task Force last year will cost the fiscus 31.2 million rand, which has been allocated to the government's speedy implementation of the action plan to get the country off the list. South Africa became one of a few countries that are part of the G20 to be grey listed, which means its financial systems are vulnerable to global money laundering and terrorism financing. Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana, however, told MPs during the National Treasury budget vote that the actions being taken by the government could see South Africa exiting the grey list early next year.
So to support this initiative, the department has allocated about 31 million rand in tax policy sub-program with economic policy, tax, financial regulation and research program.
The National Treasury has also increased funding for the South African Revenue Service by an additional 1 billion rand per year for the 2025 and 2026 financial years to bolster the taxman's revenue collection.
Cabinet has approved budget increases to provisional equitable share amounting to 101 million billion, 101.5 billion rand over the medium term period for adjustment related to compensation of employees in the education and health sectors, and to the South African Revenue Service of 1 billion per year, 24-25 and 25-26 to improve the collection capacity.
Godongwana also plans to introduce new measures to improve private sector investment in transport and water sectors. While all political parties that are part of the Government of National Unity adopted Godongwana's budget, some parties were not convinced. Action SA, Umkhonto weSizwe, and the EFF rejected the budget, citing Godongwana's failure to rein in government debt, which has skyrocketed to over 5 trillion rands. EFF Deputy President Floyd Shivambu lambasted Treasury's budget and questioned why the department has failed to deal with illicit financial flows for years.
It is more than 10 years now. There's not yet a coherent and cogent policy position and legislation to combat the usage of the tax havens and illicit financial flows. In the 2024 budget, which was presented in February, the Director General of National Treasury makes a correct observation that over the past 15 years, economic growth in South Africa has averaged 0.8%. And this is far below than what is needed because the population growth is far higher than that, meaning that over the past 15 years, South Africa is getting poorer.
In his response, Godongwana criticized the MK party for complaining about the country's debt levels and the weak economy, intimating that these problems were caused by the party's leader and former President Jacob Zuma.
But what happened, which the members of MK party cannot accept, is that state capture cropped in, led by their president, documented by the Zuma, by the Zondo Commission. That state capture, which undermined those institutions, what has been the effect of that? What has been the effect of that? Those institutions suffered a great deal, and the result, more resources were pumped into them. During that period, 520 billion rand was pumped into state-owned enterprise in the form of bailouts.
For Newzroom Afrika on Channel 405, I'm Xolani Mbanjwa in Parliament.